It is Wednesday night. This is our normal now, our new normal. It's going to be Wednesday nights at 7 o'clock. If you're watching the live stream on YouTube or Facebook or Twitch. If not, if you're listening to the podcast, well, you can listen to that anytime. But that's on Amazon Music and Spotify and Apple Podcast and Castro and Podcaster and all those others. So we want to welcome you to the Where Eagles Dare podcast. Why the Where Eagles Dare podcast, you say? Because this is what our Eagles dare to do, is win each and every week, just like we did against Denver this past week. With me, as always, is Tubby. How is it going, Tubby?
It's going good, man. Really excited for this week. You know, game against the Saints, a real winnable game. But yeah, man, overall it's doing good, man. Doing good. Started my week off pretty well. Had a gig yesterday. So yeah, man. Ready to talk some Eagles football, man.
How did the gig go yesterday? We can do a little bit of chit-chatting.
It was cool. They I was set up at Deuce's Wild Tap House, and it was a quiz night. So, you know, for a Tuesday night, you know, it wasn't too bad. I'm out there for about 3 or 4 hours. So they had quiz night. So, you know, even though it was the best Philly cheesesteaks in Colorado Springs.
That's good.
Wings and all that good stuff. But yeah, man, just starting the week off pretty good. And yeah, man, looking forward to this matchup. What's going on with you?
It's funny you mention that because I have a virtual quiz night tonight after the podcast at like 9 o'clock tonight. We do it with a bunch of people down in actually Dallas, but it originates in Dallas, but it's people all over the country. We all get together and do stuff, and we have teams. We get together on Facebook and we message each other what we think the answer is. So we have teams of 4, and then we kind of score. It's all for fun. It's something that we started during the COVID thing.
Yeah.
And they were doing the trivia down in Dallas, and then they just opened it up to everybody that wanted to do it that we're all friends with. So it's something that we've been doing now for a year and a half. So it's a lot of fun. But not as much fun as is watching our Eagles play each and every week. And this week we've got it doesn't get any easier for the Eagles. We have had a really unbelievable schedule this year up to this point. And we got a team coming in right now in the 5-4 Saints that took the 8-2 Tennessee Titans, a team that people might say is one of the best in the league. Their record certainly shows that. And when they have Derrick Henry, they certainly are. You can't deny that with Derrick Henry and their defense, they are one of the best teams in the league. And yet the Saints took them to the wire, really had a lot of control of that game until the end. So this is kind of a nervous matchup for us coming into the link. What do you think about this?
Well, for New Orleans to come off that win against Tampa Bay, and you thought they were going to blow out the Falcons. So they're coming off 2 losses after a really big win from Tampa against Tampa. Then you lose to the Falcons by 2, and then, like you said, the one of the best teams in football right now, in the Tennessee Titans. You take them down to the wire and lose by 2 as well, too. So it's like, which team are we going to get? The team that played the Falcons, because we handled the Falcons pretty well, and we've seen what happened to the Falcons last week in Dallas. Or are we going to get the team that played the Titans really well and down to the wire, like you mentioned, man? So, but I like my chances against the Saints. Our chances, not my chances, but our chances.
We're all a team in this.
Yeah, right.
We're all a team.
So yeah, man, we just really want to see which team that we're up against this week. But it's definitely a winnable matchup, like you mentioned, man. They're coming off of 2 losses, so give them their third.
You say a lot of things when we do this podcast that pique things in my mind and make me think of things, and you're right. Just saying that what team we're going to face. When you think about this NFL season, this has been the most Jekyll and Hyde season that I can remember in the history of the league, because we've got teams that are normally great from week to week. I mean, look at what happened to Dallas. Looked unstoppable all year long, run into a Broncos team that blows them out, and then we turn around and blow out that Broncos team when we've struggled with just about every team out there. You have Buffalo losing to Jacksonville. So you really, week to week, it really does come down to what team were we facing? Is the team ready to play? I don't know if it's a matter of coaches getting guys ready or certain teams being better matchups for other teams. Right. But that is a strange thing when you think about it, that, this team struggled against a Falcon team, and I thought they would lose that game. And I really thought because of Jameis Winston being out that Trevor Siemian was nowhere near the quality of Jameis. So that's why I picked the Falcons in that game. But then I was proven wrong. I mean, Trevor Siemian's numbers last Sunday, 19 to 34 for 298 and 2 touchdowns, no picks for a 104 rating. I mean, that doesn't look like the Trevor Siemian I know from the days in Denver. That's a different quarterback. So you don't really know what we're getting into.
You don't know what you're getting into, man. So he took 4 sacks last week as well too. So there's a plus there for us. But other than that, he's been solid for him. He's been solid. Lost the last 2 starts, but solid.
Right,
he's been solid for him.
Well, I normally like to watch the game of our opponent the week before that we actually play them, so I can kind of get a feel, because you can't watch every game. And I haven't really watched the Saints game much this year, just some highlights. But unfortunately, today I didn't get to do that because I got caught up in season 2 of Tiger King. So that was, I just started binge watching.
I didn't even know it was out.
I binged watched the shit out of it today. I watched 4 out of the 5 episodes, and I didn't. I teleworked. I was working all day. For anybody who knows me that at work, I was not watching Tiger King. I was working hard. I just realized I outed myself. But no, it is that show, man. I don't know what it is, but I turned it on and I couldn't stop, and I just kept watching it all the way through 4. And if we weren't doing this podcast right now, I would be watching the 5th episode right now. I don't know what it is about that show, but anyway. But yeah, so I didn't get to watch the Saints game, but I did look at the stats and I kind of looked at the recap, and I mean, they gave the Titans pretty much all they could handle. So I know it's a difficult one, and the name of this episode is "Oh Home Win, Where Art Thou?" Because we still haven't got one yet. We have not won at home, and this is week 11, dude. This is week 11, and we don't have a home win.
Yeah, that's pretty. Man, I don't know if it's unprecedented for the Eagles, but I damn sure don't remember a time where we've been in week 11 and haven't had a home win with 4 wins.
Yeah, exactly.
At the same time. So, yeah, man. And the Saints, man, they're getting Kamara back. They handled those last 2 games, I believe, without Kamara. So they get him back. So
is he a definite? Is he a definite coming back?
I didn't see him on the injury report.
The one I looked at today showed him as questionable. And that was on CBS. That's where I usually look. And I usually look because they show where people practice or not. Yeah. So he didn't practice today, but they say the ankle injury is not that serious. So the signs are pointing to him being able to play. But the Eagles are surprisingly in this one. This one does surprise me that they're 1.5-point favorites against the Saints when they don't have as good a record. I mean, granted, it's only a difference of 1 game. But the Saints, I think, to me, have a lot more respect in the league than the Eagles get. So I was expecting this one to be a 2.5 road favorite for the Saints, but instead it's a 1.5. And I think a lot of that might have to do with Kamara being a question mark. I think if he plays for certain, then that spread might be a little bit different. But right now it's 1.5. So
yeah, and I think to your point, it's just it's a road line. It's a road line. So if we were playing the Saints were at home, it'd probably be the other way around.
Good point. Before we get into the breakdown of the game, I did want to point out one thing that's actually pretty cool this week. Our boy D. Slay was named the NFC Defensive Player of the Week. So go Darius. And all of it had to do with that amazing, 83-yard fumble recovery return for a touchdown that broke open the Broncos game and solidified that for the Eagles. So congrats to Darius Slay for being named NFC Defensive Player of the Week. It was an amazing play.
And that's a good point. It was the significance of the play as well too. It broke the game open. So that's why, man. Hell of a play, man. Hell of a play.
I was going to mention it because Slay played well. I mean, even besides that, he was all over his assignments as far as receiver. It didn't matter who lined up against him. The defensive backs, both of them, Slay and Nelson, they did really well against the Broncos. And it was kind of funny because we've talked a lot about the Gannon defense. And I mentioned that I watch Brian Westbrook's recaps on Facebook every week. And today he actually showed the same video I showed on Monday and said the exact same thing that I said about being up on the line of scrimmage. I almost downloaded it and put it on the show. But he said the same thing about being up on the line of scrimmage, how refreshing it is to see us getting in the receiver's face off the line. We don't have to bump them, but just get in their face, disrupt their route so that they don't get off the line of scrimmage clean, and then make that quarterback have to think about throwing into a covered receiver. When you give them that 5 to and even 10-yard cushion, which is much worse, that is so easy for them to be able to cut it off. They can do a curl route, they can do a quick slant, and you're not even in position to cover it. And it makes it so much easier for the quarterback when you're 10 yards off the ball. I will never understand that defense, but we've been down that rabbit hole a bunch of times. I don't want to go down there now.
Yeah. No, it's still a good point.
Let's take a look at the statistic leaders for each team. So coming into this game, Jalen Hurts, our quarterback, is averaging 215 yards passing a game, which is really respectable compared to the fact that he's also our leading rusher at 54 yards a game. And you see his numbers, 62% completion percentage, 13 touchdowns, 5 interceptions. Add that on to the 5 touchdowns he's had rushing. He's accounted for 18 touchdowns on the season, which is fantastic. By contrast, Trevor Siemian has 235 yards he averages passing and a 57.7 completion rate. Their leading rusher, Alvin Kamara, 66 yards average a game, but we know what he can do if he's in the lineup. He's dangerous. He has 3 TDs on the season. And then their top receiver is Deontay Harris. He is averaging 50.9 yards a game, and he has 2 TDs on the season, where Devontae Smith, our top receiver, is averaging 60 yards a game, and he has 4 TDs in his rookie season. So the thing about Deontay Harris is I wasn't as familiar with him going into the season until Michael Thomas got injured. And, he had the off-season ankle surgery, so we haven't seen Michael Thomas this year, and we're not likely to. And so this seemed to be a season for the Saints where it didn't look like it was going to be a great season for them. I mean, they had Jameis Winston starting at quarterback. They really didn't know who was going to be their starter because they had Taysom Hill. Was he going to be the starter, or was Jameis going to take it away from him? And now they got Simeon in there starting. So there's something about Taysom Hill they don't really believe in as an every down starter to be able to not only have Jameis ahead of him, but Simeon as well. So there was a lot of question marks about the Saints team. And so Deontay Harris being their leading receiver is kind of surprising at this point. But he had a great game against the Titans. He had 3 receptions for 84 yards. So can't sneeze at that. That's pretty.
Yeah, I looked him up. I looked him up before he said the college. It said Assumption College. You familiar with that college?
Isn't that the disease that's like tuberculosis? Oh no, that's consumption. That's consumption.
Yeah, it says college Assumption. Yeah, he's a small receiver.
So we
I
just
was like, are they assuming he went to college? Like just assume he went to college. I'm gonna put that on my applications now. They gonna ask me what college. Assumption.
What's your job experience? We just assume that I have job experience. I went to Assumption. I worked for Assumption LLC. So yeah, that's funny. Yeah, so I've never heard of that college. Yeah, so that's crazy.
Yeah,
but
man.
Besides him, they've got another receiver they got to watch out for that I have noticed this season and last is Traquan Smith. The guy's got electric speed, and he has a good route runner, but his speed is something that the Eagles are going to have to watch out for on Sunday.
Yeah. He's always been able to take the top off.
Yeah. So let's look at the points scored per game and the breakdown of each kind of statistic category and where the Eagles and the Saints rank. Points per game, fairly even. The Eagles have 25.7 points a game, and they rank 11th, and the Saints 24.7, ranking 13th. That's very close. Points allowed, this is where the Eagles are a little bit on shaky ground. 23.1, they're 14th in the league, and a lot of that has to go with their last few games, playing much better defense than we have been. Right. And then the Saints are averaging 19. They have a really good defense, 19.8 a game, 7th in the league as far as defensively. Yards per game. This is kind of weird to see that the Saints don't allow a lot of points, but yet they're 28th in the league in yards per game, giving up as far as gaining yards per game, 333 to Eagles 361. So the Eagles definitely get more offensively. Passing yards per game, 217, 214, ranking right at the bottom of the league in both categories. The Eagles 30th and the Saints 31st. Rushing yards per game, this is where the Eagles have really stepped it up. The Eagles rank third at 144 per game, and the Saints 118. You think with Kamara that they would be much higher than 12th in the league, and the Eagles third in the league right now. You got to love that. Time of possession, both of them really close again. 17th in the league for the Eagles, and at right now at a total of 4 hours and 39 minutes, and 18th in the league for the Saints at a total of 4 hours and 36 minutes. Third down efficiency, again, fairly even. The Eagles, though, are sixth in the league at 44%, and they've been really doing well on third down lately. And the Saints at 37%, 21st in the league. Sacks, again, even kind of. The Eagles have 18 sacks on the season. Saints have 20, so the Eagles are 24th and the Saints 16th. And interceptions, they got us on interceptions. 11 interceptions to be fifth in the league. So they got some ball hawks in New Orleans. And the Eagles are, right now, they have 6 interceptions on the season for 19th. So definitely some things to look at as far as those type of statistics. Looking at their recent games, we talked about the loss that the Saints had against Atlanta, a team that's not really that good, that the Eagles have blown out and the Cowboys have blown out, but yet they took a team like the Tennessee to the wire. Before that, though, they beat a Tampa Bay team that we struggled against, 36-27, didn't just beat them, but of course Washington beat them by 10, beat Tampa Bay by 10. So what Tampa Bay team is out there playing? I don't know. And then they've also beaten the Seahawks 13-10 and the Redskins. I'm sorry, I always say Redskins. Until they change their name, I'm going to keep saying it. They beat the Washington football team 33-22. On our side, we know what we've got. Beat Denver this past week, lost a close one to the Chargers, and then blew out Detroit. Before that, struggled against Las Vegas and Tampa Bay. So, but I think the Eagles right now have a lot more momentum built in than the Saints do. Saints, it's tough. I don't like facing a team that has gotten 2 losses back to back, that's desperate for a win. Yeah. Are they? And so it's one of those things where something's going to give. Either the Eagles are going to get their first home win of the season, or the Saints are going to break that 2-game losing streak. So
right. And especially when you see a team that they're second in their division. You see Tampa looks human, looks mortal, if you will. They look human. Tom Brady looked human the past couple games, man. We thought the Saints game was just a fluke. Tom had a bad, but the last few games, I was like, whoo. Washington, and remember, Washington lost Chase Young in that game as well, and they still kept the pressure on. They just, it seems like, just speaking on Tampa for a second, it seems like since AB has went down, they've struggled, man. He's been making a lot of moves out of that slot, so I guess those 7 to 8 catches a game he was getting, I guess it wasn't a fluke. I guess Brady really likes his route running style because their passing game has come down a little bit, as evidenced by my brother. He has Brady. He was tearing the league up with Brady for most of the season. Then all of a sudden, this past 2 weeks, he's been losing. Now he's not even in first anymore because Brady hasn't really showed up a lot.
Do you know if Gronk has been out still since then?
Gronk has been out.
Yeah, so you've got Gronk and Brown out. They really don't have a great running game. They got Ronald Jones, right? And so, that's
they have a good running game. They have Leonard.
They have Fournette. They have Fournette.
And Fournette has been doing. He's my starting running back in my fantasy.
Yeah, he's been good. He's been doing great. So I can't really figure that out then. But
they didn't even have Gronk against us. I don't believe, because OJ Howard scored against us. So they haven't had Gronk for a while, and they were winning. But it's been since I don't think they've won a game since AB has been out. So we don't know which type of team that we're going to come up against, and we do know that the division is still in hand for them. With seeing the Bucks, will they win it? Probably not. The Bucks are going to win that division. But when you see it there, and you're 5-4, getting this win going into a team that hasn't won a home game, I'm sure their confidence is high that they can break their streak here.
I think you're right. I think it's not going to be an easy game by any stretch. I don't think it's going to be a Denver game where we jump out and kind of stay out on or early on them and maybe fight with them a little bit. But I think it's going to be a lot more tense game. I better take my blood pressure medication for this one and get strapped in, because I don't know if I'm gonna last But let's take a quick look at your keys to victory. But before we do, I want to do one of my favorite segments. It's kind of what I've kind of combined it this week. I've combined the meme of the week with. Hell to the no, to the no, no, no. Hell no, no, to the no, no. Hell to the no, no, to the no, no. I don't know what it is. I do love that song. I don't know what it is about that song. I do really like that song. I just gotta play it again. No, anyway. So so hell to the no this week. I love it. I've got a meme up here that just, as much as we've ragged on Jonathan Gannon, this tweet came out and they were just talking about him prowling the sidelines this past week with the shades on. Looking, to me, he looks like one of those guys in World Series of Poker. That's all. He's sitting there with the hoodie up and he's got the shades. He's so intense right now.
Yeah, he's a serious guy.
Oh my gosh. I will give him credit. They played a more aggressive style, but the thing that scares me going into the Saints game, before we get into your keys, my only key to victory in this game is Gannon. It starts and ends with how he plays defense. If he gives Simeon 10 yards off the ball, Simeon's going to throw for another 300 yards like he did against the Titans, and we're going to struggle. We're going to struggle to get on the field, and we're going to struggle to stay on the field because, well, of course, that goes back to the running game, but just dealing with Gannon, we've got to get the ball back. We have to make the Saints go 3 and out. We have to keep them on their side of the 50. No bend, but don't break. Keep them on their side of the 50, because if we do that, we win the field position battle. Because we're getting them if we can get them to punt from the 30 and 35, we get the field position. But so Gannon, like I said, he needs to be intense. He did address something this week, and I was glad he had the players' backs, because one thing we didn't talk about during the Denver game was the bogus roughing the passer call that Derek Barnett got on Teddy Bridgewater.
We talked about it on Monday. Yeah,
did we?
Absolutely. Yeah,
I don't remember talking about it too much. Okay, good.
No, we didn't go in depth by it, but maybe I just text you. I think maybe we text. Maybe I'm confused.
I think it was. Yeah, I think we text. Yeah, I think we texted back and forth about it, but it was the most garbage roughing the passer call. Now, there's been other ones that have been really bad this year, but Derek Barnett didn't lead with his helmet. He hit Teddy Bridgewater under the chin. He didn't make contact with the face mask or his chin, and it was a step after Teddy threw, and yet they still put a flag. He didn't land on him. It was like, what do you got to do?
You can see him intentionally trying to just land with his arm over top of him. You can see him trying to make sure he doesn't even land on Teddy. That's a good point.
And those are the kind of calls that can decide the outcome of a game. And luckily it didn't in this case. But I did like that Gannon came out and had his back, because Derek has gotten some flack this season from bad penalties. And this definitely wasn't one of them. So I'm glad that Gannon stood by him. He had a pretty good press conference this week, because why not? I mean, you're coming off a win where you only gave up 13 points. You should have a good press conference. So now, with all that being said, it's time to turn it over to you, Tubby, and discuss your keys to victory against the Saints this week.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. We're going up against the number one run defense in the NFL. Not in their division, not in their conference, but in the NFL. And what's been working for us in our past 3 weeks, even in the game that we lost, our run game. We've been leaning on our run game. So it's going to be their defense versus our running backs, man. And Miles Sanders is back. I hope we don't overload him, but that's been our bread and butter, bringing Jalen passing from 35 down to about 20, and it's because we've been able to run the ball. So we're going to win this game. We need to continue to run the ball, and we're going against the best in the league right now.
Good point.
And running the ball, man. The deep ball, because we are going against the number one run defense, and I think they're in the top 10 as far as like yards per pass. We're probably going to have to beat them deep. If we are, they got an old safety in Malcolm Jenkins who is beatable. We just need our guys to run really disciplined routes and Hurts to be really consistent on that deep ball. He throws one to Watkins last week. It was a beauty. A nice touch pass to Smith. At least he gave him a chance. And then we had the underthrow for the interception. So we just need more consistent. And I think if the deep ball, especially if the run isn't working, the deep ball is going to have to be there for us.
Good point. Yep.
And with the deep ball, man, Smith and Lattimore. Lattimore is one of the best, if not the best corner in the game right now. So that's a hell of a matchup. With Goddard being on concussion or still in the concussion protocol and Smith being our top target, they're going to probably stick Lattimore on him all game because he's Hurts' number one target. So expect to see a lot of Lattimore and Smith. And I think if Smith can win that battle with his excellent route running ability, I think we can. I think that can be a victory for us. I think that can lead us to victory for sure. And the last one, man, we struggle stopping the run all year. We're going up against two veteran, skilled running backs. Ingram just passed Deuce Staley. Was it Deuce? Is it Deuce Staley or Deuce McAllister? McAllister last week for the Saints. Now, we know Ingram's a veteran, and if Kamara is back and he's healthy, he's just as dangerous as Christian McCaffrey. There's nothing Kamara can't do. He can hurt you either way. And, one thing against the Broncos game, Williams and Gordon were getting to the outsides. And these guys, Kamara especially, can get to the outside. We don't want to see Kamara with 8 or 9 catches, man, and 10 to 12 carries, because that means we're probably losing. So we just got to look out for that. And another key, just to your point about, our defense, Trevor Siemian's pretty tall too, man. So he can see if that coverage is that far off. You have such a tall quarterback that can just see that you're giving him that much space. We're going to make him real comfortable, man. And we don't want that. You want to make a bad quarterback, a historically bad quarterback, bad. You want to, we can get to him 4 times. We've only had still, I think 2 sacks.
Right.
No, we didn't get a sack last week. I think we
had 1 sack against the Broncos last week.
I'm sorry, at home. So
at home.
So at all our home games, we only had 1 sack leading up to our last one. I don't even know if we got one in that one. So
right.
Just those are the keys, man. I think if we can do those things, I think a lot of success can be on our part, man. I like the way Jalen is playing right now. And, the crazy thing is, he's had the best QBR in the league the past 3 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
That's crazy. That's crazy. I didn't even know that. I was watching NFL Live, and Dan Orlowski brought it up. And I was like, what? Yeah, he has the best QBR. But, it's also rated based off of expectation as well, too. There's also some variables in there.
Right.
Because Simeon last week had like a 65 QBR, even though he had 105 rating. So it's some other things in there that you have to factor in, man. So let me ask you a question. How many carries you think we should give Miles Sanders coming into this week?
Well, see, that's the funny thing you're about to say. First of all, your QBR with Jalen, this ties into the Miles Sanders thing. It's no surprise that he's leading the league in QBR the last 3 weeks when it's the time that the Eagles have been running the ball the most. When you run the ball effectively, it takes the pressure off of Jalen, and he can just do what he's been doing the last 3 weeks. And, if it wasn't for the way we played defense in that Charger game, we would be talking on our 3rd straight win right now, without a doubt. They should have won that Charger game. And this is all coming from that ability to run the ball. I'm stoked that Miles Sanders is back. He's been activated off the injured reserve in his 21-day practice window, which doesn't mean he's going to start Sunday, but all signs point to it, or that he's going to play. Mm-hmm. I think they're going to keep him. I think right now, if we've got the way Howard and Scott have been carrying the ball, I don't think there's an urgency to get Miles in the game right off the bat. I think we're probably going to see Scott like we did against Denver. Then we may see Howard come in a different possession, but they are definitely going to mix Sanders into the game. And I'm thinking he'll probably get somewhere around 10 to 15 carries if Sirianni's sticking to this run-first mentality. Yeah. If we regress, then, of course, he may go back to being the Miles Sanders that gets 3 carries. But I think that it's smart if we're just going to keep feeding our running backs and to divide that up equally. I'd like to see Jordan Howard. I'd like to see to get the bell cow share of the back of the carries, and then I'd like to see Miles second, because the thing that Miles brings is that kind of Saquon Barkley, both being from Penn State, that escapability, and that once he makes that one cut run that just blows people away. He can be a touchdown play on any possession, on any given play. He can take it all the way to the house. So I think that's going to be interesting. Another thing you said is that Alvin Kamara thing. If he plays, it creates a really difficult matchup for us, and so we have to prepare like he's going to play. And I think one of the things, the reason the Eagles have struggled on the outside is because if you look at their games prior to this, they've spread their linebackers out to prevent that outside rush. But with this new aggressive type of defense, they're lining their running backs more up in the gaps on the line of scrimmage, which leaves them a little bit susceptible. So it's like damned if you do, damned if you don't.
Right.
However, I would rather have them on the inside than on the out, and just let the chips fall where they may. They're going to have to make the adaptations. But if Kamara's in there, like you said, it's going to create a problem in the screen pass game because he kills you on the screen pass. Even just over in the flat pass game, he can do it all. So I'm hoping that it's just Ingram. And Ingram's, like we said, is just hard enough on his own to stop. So we don't need both of them in there. We'll see what happens. I think that I think everything you said is true as far as what the Eagles have to do to win. And do I think that they're capable of doing it? I definitely do. So let's take a quick look at the injury report. We talked about it earlier. We're looking pretty good right now. I pulled up the injury report today, and we really only have Dallas Goedert on there, other than our injured reserve guys out for the year, like Sam Malu, who we don't know when he's ever going to come back, and Brandon Graham. But this is it. Dallas Goedert in the concussion protocol still might play on Sunday. It's very, very possible that he could make it out there. So if he clears concussion protocol, watch out. That's going to be great. Miles Sanders definitely active now, expected return. And I haven't heard anything. I've been following Brandon Brooks all day to see if he's going to practice or if he's going to play. I'm hoping he does because we've got on the left end Cameron Jordan out there. And I know that we've got a very good right tackle, but it'd be really good to have Brandon Brooks in there as well at that guard position to keep Cameron Jordan from disrupting and getting to Jalen Hurts because he's a one-man wrecking crew, Cam Jordan is. So on the Saints side of the ball, they got a banged up squad. Like I said, we got right now Alvin Kamara listed as questionable. Ty Montgomery, backup wide receiver. Chauncey Gardner-Johnson, who's a decent defensive back for them, is on IR, so he's not going to play. And so they've got and one of their offensive tackles is out and questionable. So they got a little bit more banged up than we are. But Kamara is the big one. If Kamara plays, it makes a big difference for them. So injury is going to be key. I think what it comes down to for us, outside of everything that you just said, is not only stopping Kamara and Ingram, but being able to get to Simeon, get him off his spot like we did against Teddy. Get Brandon, get Jason Hargrave in there. Get Fletcher Cox in there. Get Derek Barnett in there. And Sweat. All four guys need to produce on Sunday to get that going.
Yeah, man. See old Malcolm Jenkins. Is this his first time coming back to Philly since he's left? I know we played the Saints, but is this his first time? I think it's his first. It may be his first time coming back to Philly. Right. So
I think
he was one of our team captains when we won the Super Bowl. So we always have love for Malcolm Jenkins. So
right, yeah, I think you're
right. Malcolm Jenkins, but and he's done a lot in the city of Philly, off the field as well too. So salute to Malcolm Jenkins. Welcome back, but I do not wish you the best of luck in the game. I wish you great health, but I can wish you luck, brother.
I definitely miss his leadership. I like where we're headed in the leadership factor. I think Slay is coming to his own as a field general. We don't really have that safety back there that's Rodney McLeod it could be that guy. But right now Slay is leading that defense. I'd love to see a linebacker step up and take control. I don't know if we really have a captain out there that we did like when Jenkins was out there. One of the things that I loved about Malcolm Jenkins, and one of the reasons I fear Malcolm Jenkins, is his ability to call out those plays. He's that guy. He's that guy that you want on the field to be able to communicate to everyone. This is what I see. This is what we're going to do. And they just follow him. And they follow him blindly. And yeah, Malcolm loved him when he was here as an Eagle. I wish we still had him. I do think this would be a much better team with him. But, hey, that's the way the NFL works. It's a business. So we wish him, like you said, the best of luck. But not this week. Not this week. All right, before we get into the next segment, I'm having a few glasses of scotch tonight because it is a Wednesday. That's what I do on a Wednesday. That's what I do every day, but I don't have a drinking problem. No.
Scotch
I don't do
Wednesdays
it.
for you.
I don't do it every day, but it's like I needed a break today, and I'm feeling a little goofy. So we got something for just our YouTube and Twitch and Facebook Live followers. A couple of great TikToks that we had this week that I saw that just killed me. One of my favorites that I saw is I followed the Detroit Lions, and they actually, if you know what happened this past Sunday, they ended up tying the Steelers 16-16. Lions still don't have a win on the season, but they do have a tie now. They didn't lose Sunday, and most of my Lion fan friends were stoked about it, and so was this guy right here, as evidenced by his TikTok.
Middle of the field. Going to have to pitch it. Benson has it. Somebody makes you're going to end the game.
Yes! Yes, we tied!
Oh man. Oh man. Here we are, sad at 4-6.
You know what? Yeah, we think we get angry when the Eagles lose, but this guy is excited. Yes, I love the way he says it. That's my favorite part. We tied. It's great. So I have one other one that I haven't shown you yet, and this one just cracks me up. This is a guy who talks about the different flat pass. I think he says flat pass routines that every quarterback in the NFL has. So enjoy. This is great stuff here.
Go. Go.
I'm telling you what.
Yeah, why you do Carson like that, man? That Kyler Murray one was hilarious, too. Especially he stuck the ball out. That was hilarious. Why you get Carson Wentz pretty bad?
Oh, the Carson Wentz thing is great because he like barely throws it. The guy catches it, like surprised. Holy shit! Thanks. Oh, good lord, that was a great TikTok. We're gonna try to find those each and every week. I look for good football TikTok. There's some great ones out there, man. There's some funny people in the TikTok world, as the young kids say, or whatever. So,
I seen one similar to that when they did a whole thing about Kirk Cousins just overthrowing every receiver, just throwing it like in the alleyway. Dude was like in his backyard or whatever. They had one on Kirk Cousins, man. It was hilarious.
I don't even want to go down that rabbit hole. Kirk Cousins,
Right.
man, that guy.
Yes,
we've talked about him a lot over the years.
Since he was drafted.
He was Michigan State.
Since he was drafted, we were talking about it.
I know, crazy stuff. But we'll talk about that another day.
Right.
All right. Before we move on to discuss our fantasy stuff for this week, we're going to talk about the upcoming games just briefly. So next, if we can get by this Saints game, this is what we've got on the horizon. We got 2 road games coming up. One against the Giants, right now sitting there at 3-6, and then we got to go to stay in New York, in New Jersey, or whatever, to play the 2-7 Jets. So if we can get by this Saints game after beating the Broncos, it's not unrealistic to see that us going into our bye week on week 14 at 7-6, and that would be incredible considering the start that we've had.
Considering the start we've had, absolutely, man. It's a good point. We playing back-to-back games in the same stadium. Has that ever happened before? I don't know, just random. But
what you said a couple of weeks ago when we were looking ahead at the schedule, I thought was really right on the money. After this Denver game, we come back here to Philadelphia, and we're not leaving the Philadelphia area for 4 weeks. I mean, that is a really good benefit to this team as far as staying healthy, morale, just being close to home, not traveling.
Home cooking.
And so, they're going to the Meadowlands, or going to play both New York teams, but at MetLife Stadium. I always still call it the Meadowlands. That's how old school I am. But but they're going to play in New York, but that's just down the road. Brilliant. I'll take it.
Yes, sir.
All right, so let's talk about our fantasy results. Now, this is, I think, we've talked about fantasy all year long. I think this is one of the first times this year that we both won on
the same week.
Normally I'm ragging you or you're ragging me, but this one was a good week for both of us. I finished like 1.5 points out of first place for the week as the highest score. I was so mad. Beat the Block beat me by 1.5 points, which sucks.
So when I was watching the game on and off, and I checked the score and I said, "Oh, Beat the Block is winning high score this week," because I was in second at the time, and it was over for me. And I mean, if I'd have started just made one switch in my anybody else except for DJ Moore on my bench, I would have won the high score. That's all hindsight. You can't play fantasy like that. But I said, and I seen the long play from Deebo Samuels, and I said,
yeah,
let me see if somebody has Deebo Samuels. And sure as shit, you had Deebo Samuels. And I saw you went up, and I said, oh wow. And I saw the game was the game was over, that I said, oh no, great. I had already prepared to send you the high score and everything. And then I think I just checked my phone randomly. And I said, 10 points. Why would they kick a field goal in garbage time? The most garbage time field goal ever, bro.
Yeah.
That was terrible. And I looked back at it and I said, oh wow, yeah.
I was watching it and I was really upset because I could have used that. I could have used that money for winning first highest score of the week. But here's what killed me. If you look right here, T.J. Hawkinson 0 points. Was he injured? No. That's what makes it worse. That's what makes it worse. This 16-16 tie. I know, dude. Seriously. And so it's funny. Now, I did have 32 points from the Dallas defense, which was great. That doesn't happen every week. But we had a solid week. So looking at the standings right now for fantasy, there's you at 5 and 5 right now. So you're still in the playoffs. I'm just on the outside looking in at 4 and 6. If I could just get a couple more wins, maybe I make that. But right now, I'm kind of not trying to think about fantasy. I'm just kind of letting it happen. If it happens, it happens. We'll see what goes on. But that's our fantasy update. Now, as far as the Saints game goes, I think I've got to start Jalen Hurts. I got Jalen Hurts or Derek Carr. Derek Carr is playing the Bengals at home. So, I mean, they've been about the same each and every week. But I think with Hurts being home and the way he's been playing, I'm going to go with Hurts. Miles Sanders coming back. I'm not going to start Miles Sanders only because it's his first game back. I want to see what his volume is going to be before I thrust him in the lineup. Plus, I got Nick Chubb coming back. I want to make sure he's in there. So I don't think I'm going to start Miles Sanders. On the other side, though, as far as receivers go, I would start Devontae Smith for sure. I mean, granted, they're a tough pass defense, but he's on fire right now. I mean,
he's if I was thinking if Goddard is out, I was going to probably definitely start him. But it's I have Pittman Jr., I have Thielen, and I also have DJ Moore, who with I don't know how their offense is going to change with Cam being back. Shane Frazier asked, does it hurt you to play the Dallas defense? But yeah, man, I'm thinking I'll be solid this week.
Yeah, so Shane's asking me for fantasy, does it hurt me to play the Dallas team? Not at all, because I actually picked. That's the reason I've had them, is because their defense scores touchdowns. I mean, if you got Trayvon Diggs, doing pick sixes all day long, I'm going to take that because that'll win me some games. So wherever it comes into fantasy, I will use the Cowboys as much as I can, except when they play the Eagles. But it is what it is. So yeah, so it's going into this game, if you start Smith, that's going to be important. I wouldn't touch Rager with a 10-foot pole. Again, we didn't talk about it much on Monday, but Rager, again, was a no-show for this game. I don't know what's going on with him. We don't have Arthega-Whiteside to play, so we really got to go with Quez, Watkins, and Ward. So we're going to probably see more Watkins coming down the stretch because I don't know what's going on with Rager. He is not getting free. So if Devontae Smith is, and Devontae Smith is getting double covered, he's getting a lot of attention, but yet he's getting open, and Jalen Rager can't, that's a really big red flag for our former number one pick. Really upsetting. And I just think about, when I think about Jalen Rager, because we picked him one pick ahead of Justin Jefferson, if we had Justin Jefferson and Devontae Smith out there right now, this could be a Super Bowl offense. I mean, and I'm not just
could definitely be more high power for sure.
Yeah, I'm not being facetious.
Two really special players.
I truly believe that with our offensive line and Miles Sanders, Jordan Howard playing the way he's doing, you got Jordan Jefferson and Devontae Smith on the outside. It's much better than what we've got with Jalen Rager. He is not producing. He has got to show up. So if you have him on fantasy, I know nobody has him on fantasy. He's probably available in 99.9% of fantasy leagues right now.
Yeah.
But anyway, I digress.
Mhm.
before I bust a blood vessel in my brain talking about Rager, because yeah, he ticks me off that Howie picked him up instead of Justin Jefferson. Because I still go back to when we were texting each other during the draft, and you were asking me who I wanted. And I said Justin Jefferson. That's the only one I want right now. And then we get Rager, and I was like, son of a bitch. And we did it this past year when it was Devontae Smith, and I was shocked we picked Smith up because that's all I wanted was Smith. We got him, and we've reaped the benefits. All right, so now we're moving into the last part of our segments is our pick segment, where I pick the games against the spread and let you know what you should go and put your money down on Vegas. Well, if you've been following me for the last couple of weeks, you really don't want to follow me and put your money down in Vegas because I went 5-9 last week. I went 5-9 this week. However, I got back into first place because everybody else sucked as bad as I did. There was only one person who actually scored like really, really high, and that was CJ Clark, who got into fifth place. But yeah, I went 5-9 in pro, 2-1 in college to get back to 120 points overall. Tied for first with Dustin Schmidt, and then we got Tim Case, who was our leader last week. I think he went -80, -100, just dropped. It was a rough week for picks. If you look at the games, very hard to pick across the board. It was just a lot of upsets, a lot of craziness going on. So you think you know this league, and then it turns out you really, really don't. So this week, as far as our picks go, I'm going to try again. And this week I feel fairly good about the picks I've made, and I'm not going to change them again. I didn't change them last week, and I still went 5-9, but I'm back in first. So I'm not going to change any of these. So let me run down your picks against the spread for week 11. Starting off with the Thursday night game, we got the New England Patriots on the road at Atlanta. Right now, one of the worst teams in the league. New England is giving them 6.5. I'm going to go ahead and take New England giving those points because that's less than a touchdown. You got to give it. And then that comes to our game, and I'm going to get your pick after this. But my pick right now is I'm going to go with the Eagles at home to get that first home win. They have not won at home yet. They're 1.5-point favorites. I think it comes down to a field goal. I think it comes down to a late, within the last minute of the game field goal. It's going to be a tight, crazy game. But my heart tells me go with the Eagles, 1.5 points. Also, we've got Buffalo at home giving 7 points to Indianapolis. I'm not sold on Indianapolis as a whole right now. They're very up and down, so I think Buffalo at home can cover that 7 points. After that, we got Baltimore on the road giving 6.5 to Chicago. I'm going to take Baltimore all day. Now, this one is we've ragged on Detroit a little bit in this episode, but they're getting 10 points at Cleveland. And I just don't know what Cleveland is right now. And Detroit really has played. We've talked about it before we played them. Other than us, other than the Eagles, Detroit has stayed with just about every team they've played, even though they've lost. Although they've lost all those games. Right. So I'm going to take the 10 points with Detroit and just cross my fingers. In contrast, Tennessee is at home giving 10 points to Houston. I'll take Tennessee on that one. They're just playing great football right now, and Houston is really bad at the moment. Green Bay is given 2.5 at Minnesota. I'm going to take the Packers all day, giving less than a field goal. Miami is given 3 at the New York Jets. I'm going to take Miami, even though really it could go either way. But I'm going to take Miami on that one because I really don't know. After that, we got Washington on the road getting 3 points from Carolina. I'm going to take the football team to cover that because even though Cam is back, now hear me out. Cam blew me away against Arizona. I don't think anybody saw that coming. He comes back in a Panthers uniform and just dominates, basically. But Washington, what they did against Tampa Bay, I think that it's one of those things where Cam could come back down to earth, where you get a little bit of study on him, and I'm going to take that field goal. I think Carolina might win by a field goal, but I'm just going to take Washington just because I'm going to ride that football team wave. After that, we got San Francisco on the road giving 5.5 to Jacksonville. I'll take San Francisco because Jacksonville, whatever. Cincinnati is on the road at Las Vegas giving 1 point to the Raiders. I will take the Raiders at home. Dallas is actually an underdog at Kansas City, and it is to the Kansas City Chiefs, but man, the Kansas City Chiefs have not played good football this year. I think Dallas has a much better defense than they do, so I'm going to pick Dallas in probably a very high-scoring game. After that, we got Arizona on the road at Seattle. Russell Wilson is back. They struggled mightily last week, but I think that they'll get their mojo back on against the Arizona team that's starting to show some cracks. So I will take Seattle and the 2.5. After that, we got the Chargers giving 4.5 at home to Pittsburgh. After that tie against Detroit, I don't even think Pittsburgh wants to play any more football this year, so I'll take the Chargers and 4.5. And then we got Tampa Bay at home giving 11 to the Giants. I'm going to take the Giants in that one. I just think that's too many points, and Tampa Bay has been struggling as of late. Going into college, we got 3 games that are on the schedule that we're picking this week. Ohio State is given 19 points to Michigan State. Ohio State is at home. I don't believe Michigan State is that great a team, so I'm going to take and give those 19 points to them and take Ohio State. After they've got Alabama at home, given 20.5 to Arkansas. I think that Alabama should win comfortably, but I'm going to try to take that almost 3 touchdown spread and take Arkansas on that one. And then we've got your Oregon Ducks, Tubby, one of your favorite college teams, and they're getting 3 points. Even though they're a higher-ranked team, they're getting 3 points at Utah. So I am going to take your Oregon Ducks. They better not let me down. They're giving 3. I'm going to take the Ducks on that one. So those are our picks for Week 11. And that's it.
Woo. Man.
If that
Go
wasn't
Ducks.
enough.
Go Ducks.
So, Saints, Sunday, ready for it. You ready?
100%, man. I am, man. Should get a lot of pressure. I'm working on Sunday too, so I'll be watching the game inside my food truck. But hey, so
Well, I don't want to come by your food truck then because it'll be like orders will be like 15 minutes wait. You'll be on your phone. I'll be like,
if they're losing, I take Philly cheesesteaks off the menu. I don't want to hear nothing Philly for the rest of the day.
I'll be like, where's my cheesesteak? We're out. But I see all that bread and cheesesteak.
Fresh out. You want to speak to the manager?
Good stuff. Anyway, well, it's going to be a fun Sunday. Hopefully, I'm going to try. I'll probably drink a lot because then I'll be in a better mood. We'll see. I don't know. This episode I realized I have a drinking problem because I've mentioned it a lot this week.
You mentioned drink twice.
I don't know, but it is what it is. We are. We're going to have a great weekend. I think I've got a good feeling about this.
Mm-hmm.
And even if not, we'll still be back here on Monday to recap it. We may, if we lose, we'll be in a lot worse mood. But
right.
I think this is coming together. We can win this Saints game, like we said. And granted, the Giants are no slouch, but those are winnable games. These next 3 are winnable games. We win all 3, 7-6, baby. And it's no longer about worrying about those draft picks. It's about seeing what we can do as a team. Exactly. We're not a Super Bowl team yet. Well, we could be a playoff team. Wouldn't that be something?
Ooh,
I don't know.
Mufasa.
Say it again.
Say it again.
Playoffs.
Ooh.
Say it again. All right, everybody. I hope you have a great weekend. Enjoy the games on Sunday, whatever team you root for. But as always, I'm going to turn it over to Tubby for his final words.
Fly, Eagles, fly.
And for me, you got a big go Birds. See you next week. All right. In the broadcast.